That is the only criteria for all this racism, the color of our skin. And this racism is experienced by babies, Black babies who are still in the womb because of the kind of health care that their mothers do not get simply because they are Black. It's experienced by people my age. I'm an elder. I'm an elder. It doesn't matter. Simply because of the color of our skin. That's why we're counting on you all, you young people coming up to stop all this madness. This thing called systemic racism is very, 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 very powerful. And it runs through everything. It runs through all these systems, education, health. That's why you've heard, with this COVID, how you've heard that Black and brown people are affected most by the COVID. And that's because of systemic racism. See,
Yeah.
and and it's because that we have always been considered less than. And so when you look at health, health has never been given to us like it should have been. And so that's why you see more and more and more cases of this COVID impacting Black and brown people. And that's what you are interested in knowing more about. Oh my, there's so much racism dealing with just the environment. I'm telling you, this racism is something. And it shapes the outcomes even of everything. See. So there's environmental racism, there's human racism. Yeah, you all can see that in actively going on now in schools where you look into gifted classes and there are very few students of color in those gifted classes. But when you go into a special ed class, you see a lot of usually African American males in those classes. See, so it's going on, and it's not just going on in IPS, and thank God IPS is going after this. I want to make it easier for you as a student, and that's why we have teachers going through training. And it's not just for white teachers, it's for all teachers, because we live in a racially constructed society. And so many of us, even though we're Black, we internalize this racism. And when you internalize racism, you start thinking that you are less than, just like everybody else does. And I won't say everybody, but way too many people think that just because you have Black skin, you must be dumber, you don't care about education, and all of these different negative stereotypes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So so Black men, so Black people don't have to feel terrified when a police car is behind them. Even though you've done nothing wrong, you're still terrified because you don't know what will happen, you see. So that's that should no longer be. That should not still be happening in 2021. But it is. I think at least one of the greatest hardships was when I saw Black teachers treating Black students so horribly. When I saw Black teachers who had evidently internalized this systemic racism that made them believe all of these negative stereotypes about children who really looked like them, see. But evidently, something happened in their lifetime to make them feel the same way I almost said, I think I will say it, our enemies feel, because I feel that you are an enemy if you aren't treating everybody the same. And remember, everything is connected. Everything is connected, no matter what it is. In our training, in our systemic racism training, we use the analogy of the fish, the lake, and groundwater. And we have this slide that shows all these dead fish floating belly up in this mucky, muddy lake. And so you wonder, what is killing all these fish? What is going on? But it's the analogy for what's happening with people. And what for me is what's happening with students in the school district because of negative stereotypes, negative assumptions like, well, they come from a single parent home, so they don't care about education. Or his daddy's in jail, so they don't care about education. All of these negative assumptions, lies really, about students that may keep teachers from giving their all to that student, see. So the lake, however, that's the analogy for all the systems. And all the systems include like education, health, redlining. Have you all talked about redlining? Redlining, finance, when certain people can't get a mortgage, because of the color of their skin, or they can't buy a house because it's not in a section designated for people with the color of their skin. See, so it's all of this. And then the groundwater, that's the isms. So we say that systemic racism, that's the bookends that hold all the other isms firmly in place. Firmly in place. See, and everything is connected. When you think of poverty, that's a tentacle of systemic racism. This is deep, but like I said, everything is connected. I kind of went on a rant, but I want you all to understand how deep this goes, and how we are all affected